If you just landed your first PMM role and minutes after taking down your open to work banner on LinkedIn, you're thinking, oh my God, what if I can't do this job? Then you've come to the right place. As someone that has job hopped literally every year of my 20s and still has gone on to lead launches that have generated 1.8 million in 7 months, I'm giving you my unfiltered advice on what to prioritize in your first 30, 60, and 90 days, as well as rapid fire mistakes to avoid that will make you look like you've been doing this for years. All right, let's go. So let's talk about the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed before we get into the details here. There needs to be a mindset shift from what you're probably thinking to what will actually help you nail your first 90 days. Because here's the thing, most people walk in thinking, I just need to prove I can do the job, and usually as fast as possible. So they immediately start trying to do everything. And believe me, as a former STAR student, I am guilty of this. Most people volunteer for every project. They pitch big ideas in week 2. They try to overhaul the messaging strategy before they've ever even talked to a customer. And their manager quietly is watching them and thinking, ooh, did I make a mistake? So here's what I want you to do in terms of shifting your mindset. Your goal in the first 90 days is all about info gathering, info synthesizing, and contributing your insights in at least one meaningful way. You're not trying to be a PMM of the year by day 60. You're trying to establish a reputation for being trustworthy and insightful. Basically, you're aiming for everyone on the team, or as many as you can, to feel like, wow, I'm so glad that they brought this person on board. Your first 90 days are actually split into 3 distinct phases, and each one has a different job. Think of them as listen, win, and lead. So let's break down what each one of those means. For days 1 through 30, what I'll call your listen phase is where your entire job is to just absorb as much as possible and build relationships, not to deliver big outputs. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive. You want to make an impression, but trust me, the impression you make right now is almost entirely built on how you show up in conversations and not what you produce. Here's what you should actually be doing in your first 30 days. Number 1, go on a listening tour. So get time with anybody critical to performing your job well. And when you're in those conversations, don't criticize. Don't tell people how to do their jobs. Just ask questions and listen. Focus on understanding their role, the metrics they care about, and the problems that they're facing. The people you need to be meeting with include your product manager counterpart or counterparts, your sales team, specifically a few reps and a sales leader, your customer success team, your demand generation or content marketing colleagues, and anyone who has customer-facing insight. These are your cross-functional partners, and these relationships will make or break your effectiveness in this role. When you're in these conversations, there are 3 questions I want you to ask everyone. First, what's working really well right now in product marketing? Second, where do you feel like there's the biggest gap? And third, what's one thing you wish product marketing did more of or just differently? Write down everything. You are building a gap analysis that will serve you for months. Number 2, I want you to learn the product like a customer. You have to download the app or sign up for the product. Do it right now. The best PMMs understand their products from the bottom up, inside and out. Use it. Find the friction points. Read the customer reviews on G2, Capterra, or whatever review site is relevant for your industry. Read the support tickets if you can get access. Before you can write one word of great messaging, you need to know the product the way the customer knows it. Number 3 is understand what already exists. Before you ever suggest changing anything, find out what's there. Read the existing positioning documents. Look at the messaging framework. Pull up the last 3 launch plans. Dig into the sales enablement materials. Most newbie PMMs walk in and immediately start suggesting improvements to things that they don't really even fully understand yet. That's how you accidentally insult someone's work and make an enemy out of a stakeholder in just week 3. Number 4, get aligned with your manager on expectations. Your colleagues are still adjusting to how you add value to the team. You need to be very clear with your manager about what success looks like in your first 90 days. Not just what you think success looks like, but what they think it looks like. Have an explicit conversation. What would you say at day 90 would make you feel like I'm crushing it? Get that answer and then build toward it. You might be wondering, what should you not be doing in your first 30 days? Things like pitching major strategic initiatives, overhauling anything, volunteering for every single thing because you're trying to seem eager, or going silent because you're overwhelmed. Both extremes, either doing too much or doing too little, send the wrong signal. Okay, so you've spent your first 30 days listening, learning, and building those relationships. Now what? Well, days 31 through 60 are for your win phase. In other words, this is the time to actually deliver deliver something. Here's the key principle for this phase. You want to find what people call visible, quick wins. These are projects that are high priority enough to matter, completable within your first few weeks, and visible enough that the right people notice. The right approach is to tackle 1 or 2 small but high priority projects that show value rather than trying to build every part of product marketing all at once. Start with what is most aligned with your company goals. This is where I strongly advise that you listen and act only on what your manager wants you to prioritize. Because here's the thing, your manager has their own OKRs, or objectives and key results, that they are reporting up to higher management. From there, those OKRs are aligned to strategic business decisions. You want to make sure that your work is directly part of those goals and ultimately those business decisions. This is how you start building a portfolio of work that is visible and impactful versus work that no one really is tracking, and to be frank, is kind of a waste of your time. So what does a quick win actually look like in product marketing? Here are some real examples. Refreshing or creating a sales enablement one-pager for a product or feature that the sales team constantly has trouble explaining. You've already talked to those reps in your listening tour, you know where the gaps are, so now you can go and fill one. I actually did something like this as my first PMM project when I landed a product marketing specialist role from sales. So I spoke with sales reps and found out that they were all advocating for a more technical one-pager for our underlying architecture. Now looking back, maybe this was a bit more than I can chew, but I really dived into the hard stuff. I wrote something up and I got our head of sales engineering to confirm the accuracy of my one-pager. A few weeks later, I delivered a piece of content that sales was constantly using in their deals, which is a great feeling and a quick win for me. Another example is writing or cleaning up a competitive battle card. Every sales team has competitors they struggle to talk about. You understand messaging. This is in your wheelhouse and it makes the sales team immediately love you and see you as an ally. You could also audit the existing website messaging for just one product and flagging discrepancies. You're not rebuilding the entire site. You're showing that you can think critically about messaging and positioning in a very confined context. And finally, you can conduct 3 to 5 customer interviews and come back with a summary of insights. I highly recommend this. Customer empathy is the heart of product marketing. If you go out and actively talk to customers in your first 60 days, you will immediately stand out from people who just sit at their desk and read documents all day. Now, the reason I call this the win phase isn't about the deliverable. It's about visibility, to my earlier point. If you do something really good in this phase, talk about it and document it. You're new and your colleagues, again, are still adjusting to how you add value to the team. If you don't promote yourself internally, it'll be difficult for them to see your impact. To be clear, this doesn't mean bragging. It means sending a short recap to your manager after you've confirmed the project is strategic and impactful, saying, hey, I finished that competitive battle card for competitor X. I shared it with the sales team, got a few positive replies, happy to walk you through it. That's it. That's how you make your work visible without being obnoxious about it. One thing to be especially careful about in this phase is don't let your previous experience make you dismissive of how things are done at your new company. If you came from a company where you had a very structured launch process, for example, and your new company's process feels a bit looser, don't walk in saying, well, my last company did this way and we should adopt it this way. That phrase is one of the fastest ways to lose your credibility with the team that's proud of how they operate. Okay, now we're at days 61 through 90. You've listened, you've won, and now it's time to start leading. By this point, you should have a clear picture of the gaps, you've built enough trust through your quick wins, and you have that relational capital to start making bigger moves. This is when you transition from reactive, doing what you're asked, to proactive and shaping what comes next. Here's what leading actually looks like at the PMM level in your first 90 days. You're gonna start proposing, not just completing. Come to your one-on-ones with your manager with ideas, not just status updates. Hey, I've noticed that we have a really strong messaging and positioning framework around XYZ use case. And based on my customer conversations, that's actually something buyers really care about. I'd like to propose that we tackle a revision of that next quarter. That's a product marketer who understands the business. That's what growth actually looks like. Start establishing how you want to be measured. Depending on the company's goals, product marketing is typically responsible for website conversions, helping support revenue goals, that's a big one, and impact on onboarding and churn. By day 60 or 70, you should have a draft of your KPIs that you've aligned on with your manager. If no one has handed you metrics, go and ask for them. And if they don't exist yet, propose them. Nothing builds credibility faster than a PMM who says, I think this is how I want to measure my impact. Start being visible cross-functionally. By day 90, the sales team should know your name. The product product team should want you in their planning sessions. Your success as a PMM fundamentally depends on the value you add to other teams, like product, sales, and customer success. You need to figure out whose support is essential and how to make their lives easier. At my current company, we have a huge Slack channel for all global sellers. Whenever I complete something I know that is a content gap that sales was asking for, or whenever I have a really important update, I send a message to the channel. This not only gets people to know my name, but it also helps them to understand what products or solutions I'm responsible for, so if they have questions, they know who to reach out to. Next, I want you to start proactively sharing what you're learning. One thing that career transitioners actually have as an advantage, and I want you to hear this clearly, is a genuinely fresh perspective. You haven't been staring at the same product for the past 3 years. You can see things that people inside the company can't. As a newcomer, you have a competitive advantage of an unbiased, fresh view. You are well positioned to notice low-hanging fruit, aka improvements, that are obvious to you, but are hardly visible to anyone else. Use that, name that, and share your observations, of course, respectfully. I want to leave you with a few rapid-fire mistakes I see specifically from people who have transitioned into PMM from another corporate role. So mistake number 1 is over-relying on your previous domain. If you came from sales, you'll see everything through a sales lens. If you came from content, you might place a little bit too much emphasis on content stages, for example, on every launch. Product marketing requires you to hold multiple perspectives at once. Your past expertise is an asset. Just don't let it become a blind spot. I actually have a colleague who previously came from demand generation marketing, and she struggles with this. She spends way too much time worrying about tactics or goals that are on the demand gen marketing team to figure out. It's also important that you not waste your time trying to solve problems related to your old role because you might feel more familiar with that. Mistake number 2 is going quiet because you're afraid of saying anything wrong. Silence doesn't protect you, it makes you invisible. Ask questions, now's the time. Share observations. Say, I'm still learning the context here, but I noticed. That is a complete valid sentence, and use it. Mistake number 3 is trying to prove yourself by overworking. I've seen this a lot. I see this constantly, especially with career transitioners. You can't out-hustle perceived inexperience. What makes a strong PMM is judgment, communication, and customer insight, not necessarily the hours logged. Mistake number 4 is not asking for feedback early enough. Don't wait for your performance review. On day 30, ask your manager, what's one thing I could do better? Ask your cross-functional partners, what could I do to make your work easier? People who ask for feedback early on look confident. People who don't sometimes find out that they're off track way too late. And there you have it, my tried and true advice to nailing your first 90 days as a PMM. If you're still in the job search phase and you haven't landed your first PMM role yet, I've got a wonderful on-demand program that's affordable and guides you through every step of the way from getting interviews to executing your first launch. Also, I have a brand new bonus video on how you can use AI to create strategic positioning and messaging in your first 90 days, taking what we talked about in this video even further. So check out the full list of topics covered in the link in the description of this video to learn more. And if this video helped you, please give it a like and subscribe. It genuinely helps more people find it. And subscribing is a way that you can tell me that my content is resonating. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.